Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Rania Lawendy, and I just wanted to welcome everyone on behalf of the Muslim Association of Canada to our live question and answer session. I'm actually so excited to have Sheikh Ahmad Kutty with us, and I'll be telling you a little bit about him also. We also have, we're excited also to be welcoming our Quebec contingency with having a French portion of the program, inshallah, that'll start after the English portion. So what we're going to do today actually is we're going to take your English questions first, and then we'll be taking your French questions, and please feel free to type them up. So just a little bit about MAC. MAC is the largest Muslim organization in Canada. MAC stands for Muslim Association of Canada. We actually have 13 chapters established across the country. Mashallah, we have 8 full-time schools, 17 centers and mosques, and 14 part-time schools across the country in 14 cities. MAC, alhamdulillah, has a reach of close to 80,000 Canadians, annually, focusing on providing Muslims across the country and Canadians at large with spaces and services and programs that contribute to holistic education, personal development, social and community services. And mashallah, it's doing a lot of great work. This past year alone, MAC has supported 87 local charities across the country that are involved in very important community development work. And all of these include things like shelters, refugee settlement, homelessness, food programs, mental health programs, supporting senior members of our communities, and youth empowerment initiatives. And MAC believes in, obviously, grassroots mobilization. So we're a grassroots organization. And we, alhamdulillah, have been able to foster really strong partnerships with diverse members of our communities. And we're really thankful for that, alhamdulillah. Some examples of our programs for people who are not familiar with MAC include Eid prayers in 10 major cities across Canada. And many of our cities also do Eid festivals that I hope a lot of you have been a part of. We have the MAC Give program. We'll be talking a little bit about what we're doing for Ramadan, inshallah, at the end of the program. We have a seniors program in Edmonton. We have tree planting, mental health training workshops, expos across our schools, and our schools participating in many different initiatives like Orange Shirt Day and Hope and Amp, Prayer in the Six. There's so many different things that we're doing. A little bit about myself. I'm actually one of the executive members of MAC, the National Executive Committee. I'm actually in charge of a department called MACU Junior. I'm also the principal of MAC Maple Grove School, so I'm very blessed to be one of the principals of our full-time schools. And I also serve as a chaplain at the University of Waterloo, alhamdulillah, serving the Muslim population there as a MAC chaplain. I'm actually, I was going to say, I'll say a little bit words about Ramadan at the end, inshallah, but I want to give you a little bit about Sheikh Ahmad Kutty, because I know that's why you're here. You're not here to hear me, speak. So Sheikh Ahmad actually is very dear to me. I've known him for a very long time. He's a prominent North American Islamic scholar. He is currently the senior resident Islamic scholar at the Islamic Institute of Toronto, and has taught at Emmanuel College at the University of Toronto as an adjunct instructor. He graduated in the traditional Islamic sciences and received an ijaza of Al-Faqih fi Din, a leading Islamic institution in South India. And Sheikh Kutty obtained his license in Usul al-Din at the Islamic University of Medina, alhamdulillah, in Saudi Arabia. He pursued his Master's of Arts in Islamic Studies from the University of Toronto, and he went on to further his doctoral studies at McGill University Institute of Islamic Studies, where he obtained his PhD. Sheikh Kutty has served on the FIP Council of North America. So we're very happy to have you here, Sheikh Ahmad Kutty. It's a pleasure for me to be hosting you today and for MAC to be hosting you. I'm encouraging, as you're speaking, inshallah, for people to put in their questions, because this is a wonderful opportunity for them to do that. Jazakallah khair. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Sister Rania and Brother Qazaz. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless your efforts. Let me begin. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa ahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. First of all, I applaud and commend MAC for the wonderful services they are offering the community. And I would say this is the kind of work Muslim community needs to do so that we can present the beautiful side of Islam, the mercy of Islam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent to the world as a mercy for all beings actually. And the kind of service you are providing is enhancing the cause of Islam, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to bless you and bring fruits for your efforts, inshallah. And I am indeed most honored to be here, and I am always honored to give that khutbah in Mac Masjid in downtown. I look forward to it. But today, now our topic is Ramadan. Before starting answering your questions on Ramadan, I would like to point out we are living in very, very critical times. If this COVID-19 has taught us anything, it should be about the frailty of human condition. That no matter how powerful we human beings are, in spite of all the technology and the scientific achievements that we have, we are brought down to our knees. And this is the time for us to see the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to humble ourselves before our Lord and return to Him in repentance. Because as the Quran reminds us, when we interfere with the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, interfere with the order and the harmony and the pattern of the universe as He has created, we are bound to reap the bitter fruits. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس. This fasad, this disharmony and disorder is brought down by human beings, and we are tasting some of the bitter fruits of our own deeds, actions. And Allah wants us to learn lessons from this kind of tragedy that is engulfing the humankind all over the world. Look at the streets empty, look at the cars, no cars, and look at, when a little bit we stop interfering with the nature, the water becomes clear, air becomes purer. So it should serve as a lesson for us. And also as Muslims, this is the time for us to get back to the balanced and harmonious lifestyle, way of life that Islam prescribes for us, the moderation in our habits and lifestyle, and cutting down the wastage, and living a life as exemplified by the Messenger of Mercy, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. With this brief remarks, I would ask you can, ask me the questions. I will try to answer as best as I can, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Ahmed. So the first question we have is, where should we direct our zakah locally versus back home, given the current economic situation?
Well, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when his son Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu, as a governor and also as a judge, as an ambassador on his behalf to Yemen, he told him, issued this order to take out from them, إن الله قد افترض عليهم صدقة تؤخذ من أغنيائهم وترد إلى فقرائهم. That Allah has prescribed. He mentioned the salah and other things, and then he said Allah has prescribed on them a charity, compulsory charity, which should be taken from the rich and given to the poor. So from this, our scholars have inferred the role that the priority for the zakah that is taken from a country is to distribute it among the population. And this is what exactly Mu'adh ibn Jabal radiallahu anhu did. He distributed, and yet surplus was there. So he sent it back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So that is what we should be following in this kind of, when we have authentic traditions like that, we cannot exercise our opinion. So zakah should be given now as a priority for the people living here. The only exception is if you have your close blood relations, other countries back home in Egypt or India, wherever you come from, yes, you can provide part of your zakat to them, and you should do so. By that, you are not breaking this order of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Jazakallah khair. The next question we have from one of our participants is, she says that we have different calendars for salah times. Which one do we follow?
Well, you know, if you look at, I have a detailed article I have written on this. The problem when we discuss about the times of prayers, especially imsak and iftar, I have researched on this topic in detail, and I found out that, you know, in Islam, we have three kinds of dawns. One is the astronomical, another is, you know, nautical, you know, the other one is civil. Actually, civic dawn is the dawn we closer to the, you know, stipulation or prescriptions of the Sharia or guidelines of the Sharia that we read, because يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. Ibn Jarir explains it, the Mufassir, that it means that there is light, you know, shining on the mountain tops. And they, you know, example given is, when you shoot an arrow, you should be able to see where it is landing. So that is civic dawn. It's not the scientific dawn or nautical dawn. You know, so we have prepared these calendars without really studying, and as some scholars have presented the argument very detailed in the Arabic, and I have based my essay on that. And therefore, you are allowed to follow this, you know, calendar that puts the, you know, imsak, you know, imsak late actually, because, you know, it may be a difference of 20 minutes maybe there, or even 15 minutes, you know, that's okay, it's allowed. And as for the sunset, there is not much, because it's exact actually. So you cannot, and as soon as the sun sets, you should break your fast, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, my ummah will continue to benefit the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as long as they hasn't to break their fast and delay the iftar and imsak. You know, imsak is, you know, the pre-dawn meal. And you have examples after examples of Sahaba Ridwanullahi alayhim, you know, eating their suhoor and then standing upright to pray actually. Abu Bakr is called, alerted that it's dawn, it's suhoor. He said, not yet. It is suhoor. He said, not yet. It is suhoor, not yet. So you see, he delayed it, and then of course he stood up, you know, and had his suhoor, and immediately he stood up to pray. So having said that, our scholars say that it's better to have some gap actually. But if you could not wake up and it is time for adhan called, and while you are having your meal, you can finish it inshallah. Because this 1 and 2 minutes doesn't matter, because Islam, halakal mutanatiyun, you know, woe to those who are practicing rigidity. This religion is easy and simple, and let us leave it as it is without, you know, making it too hard for people to follow, because we need to remember that you know, night is sometimes very short. So we have to really take that into account. There is a taysir in the Sharia. Yassiru wa la tu'assiru wa bashiru wa la tunaffiru.
Jazakallah khair. One of the things that I'm feeling, and I think obviously other people are feeling because they're asking this question, is a big part of us feeling a spiritual element in Ramadan is us going to the masjid, praying Taraweeh, listening to a sheikh that obviously has a way nicer voice than we do, and making us, you know, feel the Quran. So the question is, how can I feel a spiritual element of Ramadan without Taraweeh? And then they continue and say, should I aim to finish the Quran on my own? And what if I don't know much of the Quran? How can I read Taraweeh?
Alhamdulillah, this is a wonderful question, and it is very, very relevant. You know, it's very, very sad. I feel like crying when we see the situation that we are all kept out of our masajid, where we used to feel that Quran spirit when we listen to that beautiful recitation and pray behind as a ummah, as brothers and sisters. And there is, we are deprived of that. But having said that, as our scholars said, "Ma la yudraku kulluhu, la yutrak kulluhu." If you cannot fulfill something incomplete by fulfilling all of the requirement, that doesn't mean you leave it. Do it as much as you can, fulfilling the best requirement that you can fulfill. So the law of Allah, the Sharia, is all mercy. It is from Al-Hakim and Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. He is all merciful. So in Sharia, one, you know, this kind of deficiencies can be compensated for. If we really make that sincere intention to welcome Ramadan and make use of it in our given situation as best as we can. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Idha amartukum bishay," when I order you to do something, carry it out as best as you can. So in the given circumstance, what we can do? Surely we may not be able to listen to the Qari in the masjid. Surely we have beautiful recorded Qurans. And you have Minshawi, you have Tabalawi, you have Husari, you have Abdul Basit, recorded Quran. You can play it, read your Fatiha, and play that recorded Quran and listen to it. Minimum is 11 verses at least, as Imam Malik said, in each rakah, unless you are so busy with your work, at least play that 11 verses in each rakah, and you are allowed to play it and stop it and go to ruku, and you can do that. You know why I'm saying this? Aisha radiallahu anha, the beloved wife of Rasulullah radiallahu anha, used to ask her servant, to lead her in Taraweeh. And since he did not memorize the whole Quran, she gave him the Mus'haf. And he was reading from the Mus'haf and leading them, women, inshallah. So based on that, it is okay for us to know, you may not be able to, if you are a beautiful reciter of Quran and you know how to recite it and you didn't memorize it, take the Quran and read from the Quran. Otherwise, you are allowed to play that recorder after you have recited Fatiha, inshallah. There is enough flexibility, latitude in Sharia for such a ruling. I stand by it. If you want more explanation in support of it, I will provide that. You can refer to my website, askthescholar.com. I also give always live fatwa on aboutislam.net. If you want to come there in one of my live sessions, you can ask this question. I will explain it further, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. The next actually is kind of similarly related. We all try to do i'tikaf, especially the brothers, some of the sisters also in Ramadan in the masjid. And so they're asking, can I make i'tikaf in my home because I can't go to the masjid now?
Surely, because of this given circumstance, where there is a hardship, al-mashaqqa tajlibu at-taysir. Idha laqa al-amru ittasa. When, the situation is difficult, then it becomes lenient. And of course, the thing that we cannot do itikaf in the masjid, that should not deprive us from وَرَجُلٌ ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا فَفَاضَتْ عَيْنَاهُ. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, one of the people, 7 categories of people who will be blessed with the shade of protection by Allah on the day of judgment is a person, male or female, ذَكَرَ اللَّهَ خَالِيًا, who remembers Allah in solitude. That means in isolation. So the concept of spiritual retreat is there. So because we cannot do it in the masjid, that doesn't mean we cannot do it at home. So at home, this is a perfect opportunity for us. After it takes some time, it could be even 1 hour or 2 hours after you have finished your responsibilities, every single day, isolate yourself in your musalla and engage in intense dhikr, reading of the Quran. And remember, the month of Quran is a month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. So have that Quran spirit and imagine when you are reading it that Allah is speaking to you through this book. As Muhammad al-Quradi radiallahu anhu said, If you have Quran in your house, Allah is speaking to you through that. You know, Dr. Muhammad Iqbal, the philosopher of Islam, there was a banquet dinner thrown in his honor by the Lords of England. And they were, you know, Islamophobes, some of them, and they mockingly asked him, you an intellectual believe that Quran is a revelation from God? Laughingly, he smiled and said, yes, I do believe, not because it is a revelation to Muhammad, my prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was indeed a revelation for him, but I also experience it. Every day I read it as a revelation, fresh, that has been revealed, in which God is speaking to me. So this is the perfect opportunity for us to experience the revelation as Allah is speaking to us. Inshallah, open your heart and mind. And you can do that by following the instruction of Imam Ghazali when he said, the best way to read the Quran is engage your three faculties, your speech, your tongue, your mind, and your soul, your heart. So articulate the sound, study the rules of pronunciation and tajweed, read it accordingly as best as you can, and then understand the message that Allah is conveying to you, and then soak your soul with it. Imbibe the message in your heart, and let your soul be transformed by that life-giving message of the Quran. Inshallah, we will benefit.
Inshallah, jazakallah khair. And that actually answers the spirituality question, right? Because
Yes.
subhanAllah, our theme actually for MAC this year for Ramadan is being in the shade of the Quran. So that was wonderful, what you just said, alhamdulillah. So as a woman who's had many children, alhamdulillah, sometimes we miss a few Ramadan fasts. So somebody is asking, I've missed a few Ramadan fasts over the past 5 years due to pregnancy/breastfeeding. How can I make them up? And do I have to fast them all, or can I pay a certain amount? And then, sorry, the follow-up to that is, there's also another question, is another sister was saying she doesn't actually know how many exactly they were. So sometimes people aren't practicing, they start to become practicing, different situations, whatever. They don't know how many they've missed. So what do they do in those circumstances?
Okay, this if we have missed fast and we cannot do it immediately, then we should make that niyyah to do it whenever we are in a better situation health-wise, free from this kind of pregnancy and breastfeeding. We should be determined to do that. When you have that niyyah, inshallah, and seek the help of Allah, Allah will help you. Now, having said that, if you are having these pregnancies one after the other, breastfeeding one after the other, it's best to feed, inshallah. And then whenever you are able to come make up for it as best as you can. You know why? Because we never know whether we will die, you know, when Allah would call us. So it is better, if you think that you cannot make it up soon, then make that fidya, give that fidya. And then later on, when your situation changes, you are healthy and you can do it, make up for them, inshallah. And that is what, and also in the case of those who don't know how many they have missed. So we have to make an educated guess. You know, tahari is the word in Sharia, fiqh used for that. You know, if you don't know the Qibla, direction of the Qibla, if you don't have that, you know, scientific instrument, tahari, we have to make an educated guess. Even if we made a mistake in that, Allah will forgive us. Make an educated guess and make a, you know, so you may realize that it could be, you know, by your calculation, try whatever qara'in, you know, circumstantial evidences you have, try to estimate and say if it is 20, make up that 20. If it is so many days and you think you will not be able to make up for them all, then Imam Ibn Taymiyyah has told us that in this case, you do what you can and ask forgiveness of Allah and try to compensate for it by doing whatever you can, making a lot of zikr and charities that you can, inshallah. Because the Islamic Sharia prescribe a method of compensating for deficiencies, you know, for the things that we cannot do by doing whatever we can. This is what Rasulullah told the poor companions of the Prophet. They said, you know, rich people surpassed. They went far ahead of us because they do everything we do. And on top of that, they give charity as well. We cannot give charity. So the Prophet ﷺ said, engage in a lot of tasbih and tahleel and whatever good deeds you do. And he has given so many examples of virtuous deeds. So law of compensation should be applied in situations like that.
So follow up to that is there is a sister that was asking, she wasn't practicing at all. She wasn't raised to fast. She became practicing in her late 20s. What does she then have to do in terms of like making up for, like, does she have to make up the fast? Does she have to pay? What does she do then, or he?
The standard ruling among the ulama on this issue is she would have to make up. But I would follow here the opinion of Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmullah. In this case, you know, let her do what she can and then make tawbah, repentance, ask forgiveness of Allah, and whatever extra nawafil or whatever she can do, let her do that, because Allah is merciful. So I in this case, if it is hard for her, she can follow this view of Ibn Taymiyyah rahmullah. That applies to prayers as well, because it's hard to make up for so many prayers a person missed. And Allah's law, as Imam Ibn Taymiyyah points out, he explains it in detail. I have an answer in my website on this question. So for details, you can refer to that, you know, by list word qada or making up, that you can find that answer on my website, askthescholar.com.
Okay, and what age are children obligated to fast is another question.
In Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the example set by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam for all the Sahaba was, you know, initiate your child to fast. You know, they used to do that initially, you know, even when they were young, you know, if they are used to taking 3 meals, let them skip 1 meal. So when they are 10, they should be starting to fast. But of course, the obligation to fast comes when they become adults. You know, that's obligatory. But before that, try to initiate them into it so that they are trained. You know, many of us started fasting at the age of 7. I, as a child in India, was fasting at the age of 7. Of course, not every day, but, you know, some days we would skip. If it is really hot, I was forced to break. I didn't want to break it. So this is the example our, you know, pious Muslim parents used to instill in their children. So we should do the same. But having said that, we should also look at the health condition of that child. If that child is lacking in nourishment and it cannot, you know, suffer the prolonged hunger and thirst, then you know, go slowly and don't force it on him until he is strong. You know, of course, when he become an adult, unless he is sick, he should be asked to fast, inshallah.
Okay, Jazakallah khair. There's another question around Eid Salah, actually.
Yes.
Can we make Eid prayers at home like we pray Jum'ah? If there are 3 people in the home, is the ruling the same?
Well, Eid is, you know, in Islam, we have the concept of daily prayers as much as possible in congregation. Then we have the Jummah, where the local musallas come together in the big mosque. That's the concept in Islam, once a week. So in Medina, there were hundreds of masjids on the outskirts of Medina, but for Jummah, they will come together to pray in the big mosque. But once a year, they will gather in the big musalla. All of the Jawami, congregants in various masajid, come together to that big maidan. So that is the Islamic concept. And now, of course, once in a lifetime, we gather with all of humanity, you know, from all over the world, you know. So this is the ideal Islamic way of looking at this. So Eid is not meant for, in this, of course, having said that, there is nothing wrong if you have a jama'ah, you can pray Eid. In this condition, unprecedented situation, if that is the only way we can do it. Otherwise, I would advise our masajid at least broadcast that Eid khutbah and salah and let them, you know, watch that stream and follow. They can do that. This is my fatwa. And of course, So many other scholars have given similar fatwa. So it is up to you. You can choose this option. That is better than having your Eid Salah, you know, in your home, 3 people or 4 people. You know, in this kind of situation, we cannot expect our old, you know, past books giving us a solution, because they are not living in this unprecedented situation that we are. So based on their rulings, we can make this analogy. And of course, definitely it is supported by evidences in the fiqh sources.
Jazakallah khair. Can I ask that if people had written questions on the question and answer, I don't know if people noticed, but my Zoom actually kicked me out for like a minute. And then when I went back in, it was a new session. So if I haven't already read out your question, if I can ask you to type it on the question and answer, that would be really nice. Okay, the next question is, and I'm going to ask you to go quick because we actually have quite a few questions, and Sheikh Mahdi Tirkawi is also here and ready for the French ones, inshallah. So is it obligatory to verbalize your intention for fasting?
It's not required, because there is nothing in the sources that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, told us to verbalize it. But having said that, our scholars have allowed for it if it is good, enhances that intention. Because niyyah is the mind. Niyyah mahalluhu al-qalb, as Imam Ibn Qayyim said, the real place of the niyyah is the heart. So formulating that intention. But, you know, parents and allowed by the many scholars in various schools, they say it is okay to formulate in words if it enhances, if it helps you. And there is nothing in the Sharia evidence to prohibit that. We cannot declare it as a bid'ah, as some people have done that. It is going too far, inshallah.
There seems to be a lot of stuff around i'tikaf. So one question, I'm just going to put them together. One question is i'tikaf only in Ramadan? You've already answered that you can do i'tikaf in your home, but somebody's also asking, can it just be for a few hours? Like, is there a prescribed amount of time you have to do it? And then, the other question was, is it only in Ramadan?
As I said, ideally, i'tikaf should be performed at the masjid, and men and women should be able to do it if the masjid is open. But since masjid is not open, having said that, ma la yudrak kulluhu, la yudrak kulluhu, if you cannot do something in full, you may as well do it as best as you can. So in this spirit, because of the evidence that I cited from the hadith, Rasulullah sallallahu, it is okay for us to isolate ourselves in dhikr and ibadah, in our musalla, if we have a musalla at home, or anywhere in the corner. At least it could be even 1 hour, it could be half an hour. Whatever time your circumstance allows you, you should do that, inshallah. And by doing that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us, you know, for itikaf. Because as scholars have said, itikaf can be a day, it can be 2 days, it can be 3 days, as much as you can. Ideally, when the situation change, if we can go to the masjid, last 10 days is ideal, inshallah. But having said that, we may do what we can.
And is it only in Ramadan?
It can be done in Ramadan, and outside Ramadan, we have the concept of spiritual retreat in Islam. Our spiritual masters, Sufi scholar, you know, teachers have been practicing that. They have a basis in the Sharia. It has a basis in the Sharia. Spending time in spiritual retreat, Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, Sahaba, some of the Sahaba used to engage in itikaf in other times as well. And it is the tradition that our transmitted from that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the Sahaba and successors and down to the centuries. So practice of spiritual retreat, occasional spiritual retreat to purify your heart, and also to conduct, you know, practice that introspection, muhasabatun nafs. These are great ideas. You know, I wish we have another session where we talk about the spiritual, you know, practices in Islam, and that would be a good webinar topic, and I can help you if you want me to come for that, inshallah.
That'd be great. So the next question is a little bit, it's around zakah again. You did say that we should be paying our zakah first in Canada before anything else because of our situation. Yes. So the next question is, with zakah, can zakah be paid out? Like, a lot of the masajid are closed, the schools are having issues. Can our zakah be paid? Does it have to be paid just to poor people, or can it be paid to our institutions?
Well, paying zakat to the institutions, we should remember sadaqatan tu'khadhu min aghniyahim wa turaddu ala fuqara'ihim. It's mainly for the poor, actually. Of course, having said that, one part of zakah can be given fi sabilillah. You know, fi sabilillah is the cause like the MAC is doing, or maybe MAC has projects which qualify for zakat, because I could not hear all of the projects you are undertaking, some of the. But of course, having said that, many fuqaha say tamlik. Tamlik means that whatever you give to that poor person, he should be able to process it completely. So these kind of requirements are there for zakah. So I would say, only having said that, less than 1/3 of zakah can be given to an institution that is needed. For instance, if there is a masjid in a place where there is no masjid, yes, less than 1/3 of the zakah can be given in that dire situation. And this is the ruling that was endorsed by Sheikh Qaradawi and others. So if you want to follow that ruling, that is fine. Otherwise, because of the fact that there are a lot of poor people in Canada and of course all over the world, Muslim refugees, millions, I would prefer that we give it to the poor. If we give enough here and there is some left, please send it to the poor Muslims. Many of them, they cannot even have one morsel of food to break their fast. So it will be unfair on our part to be relaxing this strict understanding and application of zakah.
So there's two questions here around Jummah. One brother is saying today, so we, in Kitchener-Waterloo, actually, we had the two mayors do an interview for MAC. So we had a different webinar right before this one. So he's saying in the MAC interview, the mayors explained that the rule for 5 people, like 5 people can, only up to 5 people can be in a place for social distancing, for instance. And he's saying, I wonder if only 5 Muslims, including the imam and the muezzin and 3 others, can make Jummah prayers during Ramadan and stream it to Muslims through live social media. And then another sister here is asking, she said, the Sheikh talked about using your phone to recite Quran during prayers. You meant Taraweeh. Because I know it's not for the fara'id. To add on to that, can we do a Jummah prayer via online, like one person leads on Zoom and everyone else follows?
I have written a detailed article and so many scholars objected. I have answered their objections. If you go on aboutislam.net, you can access it. Actually, it has more than 1,000 shares actually. So go for it. It is holding virtual Jummah and Taraweeh. You know, the ruling is we are living in unprecedented situation. So you cannot expect a scholar who has died, who never lived in this situation, to give us a ruling on that. So what we can do is look at the precedents set by our scholars in the past. And my argument is, my position is, in this given situation, if MAC Masjid, you know, the masjid in downtown masjid is the one you are congregating all the time, attending, and they are broadcasting a virtual khutbah, you know, and salah from there, and you are a follower of the congregation and you are listening to that khutbah, you are allowed to follow behind that imam. You know why? Because this is one of the devices. As a child living in India, in my local masjid, there was a gathering of scholars. The question was put whether they can use microphone in the masjid or not. The answer of the scholars at that time, unanimous, was, no, we cannot use it because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam never used microphone. 10 years later, they introduced microphone to the masjid. And of course, if you look at the Medina where I studied, in Medina and the Haramain, they were questioning whether a monitor can be used, whether prayer can be, you can follow the prayer from clock tower or the hotel facing the Haram. The answer is yes now. You know why? There are scholars like Maliki school who said, you know, you can follow the imam who is praying in the jami, even if there is a body of water, ships are running through. from the other side, you can follow this imam as long as you can observe the moments and the takbirat and follow the imam. Because imam is appointed for people to follow. So if you are able to follow it, only in this given situation, you can make use of this ruling, but the choice is yours. Other scholars are not allowing it, but a number of scholars have come out that it is okay in this temporary situation, only as a temporary, method. So you can follow if they are broadcasting it from that masjid you are used to pray Jummah and Tarawih, you can stream. It can be streamed, and people at home can follow it. Other fatwa solution I can propose to you is if they are broadcasting that khutbah exactly when the time of Jummah prayer. If you understand our scholars' discussion of khutbah, Jummah, they say the khutbah is in praise of the 2 rakah, and 2 rakah is the salah. So if you have listened to that khutbah and you have a jama'ah to pray, you have 2-3 people at home, so one person can lead and you can pray 2 rakah of Jummah, and this is one of the view I also advocate. So it's up to you if you want to follow. It's valid, inshallah, according to the principles of the fiqh, inshallah. Okay, I have.
So we're gonna, I'm gonna ask you to stay, but we're actually gonna introduce Sheikh Mahdi Tirkawi now for our French followers who need to also have a chance to ask questions. So Sheikh Mahdi Tirkawi is a graduate of Azhar University in Cairo. He has a master's degree in religious studies from Université de Montréal. He has been living in Montreal since 2012. And has been the imam of Erauda Mosque, which is one of our MAC masajid in Montreal. He is heavily involved in interfaith dialogue in Quebec. And alhamdulillah, he's been a big proponent of youth engagement. How are you, Sheikh Mahdi?
Alhamdulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Sheikhna, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everyone.
Very pleased to meet you.
Okay.
Would you like to give a few words, or do you want me to go into questions right away?
With it.
Sheikh Mahdi?
Okay. Yeah. Yes, if we have questions, we can start with this.
So I'm going to ask our French followers if they can type up the questions, and then I will be able to see them, inshallah. So our first question is from a sister. Elle demande, est-ce qu'on peut donner le zakat aux étudiants étrangers?
Ce que je retiens sur la question, c'est que zakat el-mal, elle a vraiment des restrictions dans où est-ce qu'on peut la donner. Donc, les étudiants étrangers, s'ils rentrent dans la catégorie des gens qui sont dans le besoin, il a droit d'en bénéficier, mais du simple fait qu'il soit étudiant étranger, ça n'autorise pas d'emblée. Il faut qu'il rentre dans une des catégories citées dans le verset de Tawbah.
Ok, il y a une autre question. Sorry, I have to go through the French and the English to find them. Est-ce que la femme qui a accouché, ça fait un mois, est-ce qu'elle doit faire le jeûne?
Non, alors pour les femmes qui sont soit en période de grossesse, soit en période d'allaitement comme notre sœur, et que Dieu, Inch'Allah, lui mette plein de baraka pour cet enfant, elle a l'autorisation en plus, s'il n'y a pas les loquis, donc la période d'écoulement de sang là, après la grossesse. Donc si elle n'est pas dans cette situation-là, qu'elle allaite, elle a le choix de jeûner ou pas, tout dépendant bien sûr de sa santé, son bien-être et celui de son enfant. Et donc s'il y a un quelconque risque, une gêne, elle peut casser le jeûne. Et ensuite, pour rattraper après le mois de Ramadan, durant l'année, elle aura ce qu'on appelle le devoir de rattraper ce jeûne durant l'année jusqu'à ce que Ramadan d'après vienne. Et puis, si elle peut rattraper dans le sens faire le jeûne pratiqué pour chaque jour manqué, un jour de jeûne, alors tant mieux. Si elle ne peut pas, elle pourra se suffire de compenser. La compensation, c'est de donner donc, un repas par jour manqué à une personne dans le besoin.
Merci. Il y a une autre question ici sur le Coran. So, pour le Coran, est-ce qu'on doit faire un khatma? Est-ce que c'est obligatoire? Et surtout pour les gens qui ne lisent pas l'arabe, c'est très difficile. Qu'est-ce qu'ils peuvent faire?
Oui, alors comme mentionné le cheikh tout à l'heure, on est dans le mois du Coran, Shahrul Coran, Shahru Ramadan alladhi unzila fihi al-Quran, et donc il faut clairement intensifier son lien avec la parole d'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Le prophète sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, durant le mois de Ramadan, recevait la si noble compagnie de l'ange Jibril alayhi salam, kana yudarisuhu al-Quran. Donc, on doit mettre l'accent sur ce lien-là. Et nos savants en ont retenu qu'il est bon, durant le mois de Ramadan, de mettre en pause nos lectures générales et de vraiment se mettre le focus sur la lecture du Coran. Cela dit, moi, ce que je retiens, c'est qu'on est chacun à des rythmes et des niveaux qui sont différents. Il y en a, mashallah, tout à l'heure, je lisais, il y avait un Cheikh Omar Suleiman qui avait mis un post en parlant de sa maman, qui fait 14 khatmas durant le mois. Et ça, c'est un niveau, elle se pousse à cela. Il y en a qui arrivent à se donner à fond, et donc comme elle qui finit tous les 2 jours, elle termine le Coran une fois. Il y a des compagnons aussi ou des grands savants qui arrivaient à des niveaux qui dépassent l'entendement parce qu'ils ont travaillé sur eux-mêmes et ils ont cheminé. Donc, ce qui est requis, ce qui est le plus important, c'est que durant le mois de Ramadan, on se dépasse, on se pousse à aller plus loin. Comme ça, durant le restant de l'année, on maintient un rythme, et le Ramadan d'après, on se pousse encore plus loin, et ainsi de suite, jusqu'à atteindre des niveaux d'excellence. Mais il ne faut pas regarder d'autres qui sont à des niveaux plus élevés. On est tous relativement là. Il y en a qui nous dépassent à des endroits, on les dépasse à d'autres endroits. C'est comme ça dans cette compétition pour plaire à Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Donc, il ne faut pas se sentir frustré ou de sentir que tu es incapable ou quoi si tu n'arrives pas à terminer. Il n'y a pas de pression à se faire. Et concernant la langue arabe, c'est une très bonne question, et il y avait Dr Fadl Suleiman avait parlé de ça, Ponder Quran through, j'ai oublié le terme exact de sa conférence, mais en tout cas, même si on ne maîtrise pas la langue arabe, le message du Coran reste accessible. C'est sûr qu'une personne qui n'a pas la clé de la langue arabe va avoir il y a des portes qui lui resteront fermées, mais il peut se les ouvrir à partir du soutien d'autres savants qui vont traduire, expliquer, lui permettre d'accéder, tout en faisant lui l'effort ou elle l'effort d'apprendre la langue arabe petit à petit jusqu'à avoir une certaine maîtrise. Voilà, wallahu a'lam.
Okay, merci. Je vais donner la chance pour les personnes en français de faire des questions, et puis maintenant je vais demander une question en anglais. Okay, Sheikh Ahmed, our next question. So we're sorry for and please, French speakers, excuse my awful pronunciation of French. It's not my first language, obviously. So we're going to do one question with you, Sheikh Ahmed, and then we'll go to Sheikh Mahdi, inshallah. And I was giving people a chance to ask more questions in French, inshallah. So one sister is asking, she's saying, with the social distancing rules, people, because they want to pray Taraweeh, some people might be congregating in a house to pray. So they're not actually from the same house, right? So it's like they're making kind of their own like mini masjid. What is your opinion on that? And sorry, before that, I did want to say, as MAC, we do respect everyone's opinions. Of course, Sheikh Ahmed, you're one of our scholars. But MAC as an organization has taken the decision to not actually do the online Jum'ah or the virtual Jum'ah or the virtual Taraweeh. I think they're just using, inshallah, the European and the North American Fiqh Council position, but we do obviously respect everyone's opinions, and we know that there is definitely a difference of opinion on that. So I just wanted to put that out there. And then Sheikh Ahmed, if you could answer that question about the social distancing in Taraweeh.
You know, we have to follow the law of the land, and whatever guidelines, instructions issued by the health personnel, we must follow them strictly more than anybody else, because Islam, Sharia, you know, one of the priorities of Sharia, preservation of life and preservation of health is a top priority in Islam. So if we gather with other families, we are not part of that family, we are breaking that rule, and we must never do it. But having said that, you can do so, pray Taraweeh in your home. Because Taraweeh is a nafil, it can be done at home, individually in this case, or in Jama'ah. If you have husband and wife and children, wife is eligible to pray, and that makes a Jama'ah. And if you don't memorize the Quran, you can look in the Mus'haf and read, or you can use the other opinion of, you know, playing that recorded Quran after you have read your Fatiha, and you can follow that rule as well. Inshallah, it is up to you. But, you know, but don't break this rule. We don't want Muslims to break the rules, the law of the land. It is not good. It's not the Sharia that we understand, as we understand it.
Jazakallah khair. Okay, Sheikh Mahdi, il y a une autre question ici.
Can I be excused now? Or?
No, you're not going anywhere. We're doing 1-1.
Okay.
I'm not going to let you go. OK. Comment on peut accompagner les enfants pour leur apprendre le jeûne durant le mois de Ramadan?
Hier, on faisait avec la mosquée Rawda une rencontre avec ceux qui vont jeûner, les enfants qui vont jeûner pour la première fois. Et l'un d'entre eux demandait comment est-ce que je peux motiver mon ami à faire le jeûne. Et ce que je pense être fondamental, c'est de faire savourer à l'enfant les plaisirs de ce mois-là, la baraka, shahrun mubarakun azim, qui nous ombrage, comme disait le prophète alayhi salatu wassalam. Et donc, ça d'une part, de faire vivre à l'enfant une ambiance qui le fait chérir ce mois-là, qui ne voit pas dans le mois de Ramadan un mois de privation dans le sens négatif, etc., mais qui voit combien le mois de Ramadan apporte de la chaleur dans la famille, encore plus d'entente, encore plus de sérénité, de calme, le fait de prier, etc. Puis quelque chose de très important, les enfants, ils ont une fitra qui est ils ont cette belle nature. Et ils sont très sensibles à tout ce qui est la spiritualité, la connexion avec Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, avec le prophète sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Et le mois de Ramadan, c'est un mois intense en spiritualité. On peut vraiment, Inch'Allah, par la grâce d'Allah, leur permettre d'illuminer leur cœur et de goûter, de savourer pleinement ce qu'est la vie spirituelle. Ils ont cette sensibilité. Enfin, dernière chose, les savants ont fait remarquer, parce que les savants ont discuté, est-ce qu'on devrait appliquer pour le jeûne ce qu'on applique pour la salat, à savoir de commencer avec eux à 7 ans, les entraîner tout doucement, et à 10 ans être un peu plus ferme pour qu'à la puberté, ils puissent le faire par eux-mêmes. Et donc les savants ont divergé. Est-ce que oui ou non, on fait l'analogie entre la prière et le jeûne? Mais certains font la remarque que non. Parce que la prière, c'est quelque chose qui se répète, qu'ils vont devoir pratiquer assidûment là, au quotidien. Alors que le jeûne, c'est beaucoup plus espacé. Et au final, il faut regarder la capacité de l'enfant, puis mesurer comment est-ce qu'on va le motiver à différents moyens, que ce soit en lui faisant comprendre que Allah nous aime et il nous instaure ce qui est pour notre bien et on veut l'adorer, lui faire en fait une motivation de l'intérieur. Parce que des fois, on veut le faire à travers les cadeaux et tout, la motivation extrinsèque de l'extérieur. C'est bon, mais il faudrait aller vers la motivation de l'intérieur. Wallahu a'lam.
Jazakallah khair. So Sheikh Ahmed, there's a bunch of questions around zakat still. So one of them is we used to give zakat al-fitr to our masjid during Ramadan, but in this year's circumstances, what do you suggest we do? So the next one is, do we give zakat to the same city or all over Canada? And another question also around zakat is, if I'm not working, do I give zakat? So maybe that kind of means, what is the conditions to actually be giving zakat?
Zakatul Fitr, if we used to give it through our masjid or Islamic center and we cannot do so, we can use the agencies, Islamic Relief or Human Concern International, and they specify that this is Zakatul Fitr so that they will give it to the deserving people. And that's the best way if you cannot do it. Otherwise, if you know individuals who deserve as recipients of Zakatul Fitr, you can give it to them. If they are struggling, single mothers or divorcees or widows who are struggling, you can give it directly to them, inshallah, Zakatul Fitr. As for Zakatul Mal, the question is, if you are not working and if you don't have sufficient funds to provide for yourself and your family, you are not in the category of those who are obliged to pay zakah. Zakah is after you have deducted your basic expenses. If for the whole year, if the income that you are getting is barely enough to pay for your expenses for the year, then nothing is left, you don't pay zakah. Zakah is, the nisab is after you have spent on yourself basic, and if anything excess is left, saving you have, or extra income, then zakah falls on it according to the nisab. That's it. So I hope I have answered that question. And Zakatul Fitr as zakah should be given priorities here. But having said that, an exception can be made for the blood relations or close relative that you have left behind at home, and they are deserving. Of course, you should be giving to them as well, as at least one part of it, if not all of it.
And actually, Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Kutty, so the MAC masajid are actually taking still like the zakat al-fitr, but you just do it online. So I'm sure it's not just for MAC, but any of the masajid are still doing that and still working, like to kind of take out, like use the money to then give it to the poor, because they have the list of the
specify it is zakatul fitr.
Yes.
When you give zakah, specify it is zakah, because it cannot give to general services. The specific.
Ok, Jazakallah khair. So, il y a une autre question, Cheikh Mahdi. Il y a une nouvelle convertie qui demande est-ce qu'elle doit faire la jeûne du mois de Ramadan ou elle peut le faire graduellement?
D'une part, c'est sûr que le fait de faire graduellement, de la pratique graduelle, c'est quelque chose de très important en islam. Le prophète alayhi salatu wassalam donne cette image d'une traversée du désert. Si on ne ménage pas notre monture, on va aller trop vite, on va tomber. Il faut donc y aller tout doucement. Cela dit, ce que je retiens sur la question ici, étant donné qu'on parle d'un pilier, un fondateur de l'islam, on ne va pas lui demander dans le fait qu'on veut qu'il y aille graduellement, on ne va pas lui dire « Ok, tu es excusé de ne pas jeûner, tu vas pouvoir t'y mettre plus tard dans le mois ou même l'année prochaine ». Mais on va lui dire « Fais ce que tu peux ». Ce qu'on demande à tout musulman et musulmane, on ne va pas te charger au-delà de tes capacités. Si durant le jour de jeûne, tu n'es vraiment pas capable, tu commences à avoir, je ne sais pas moi, une faiblesse et puis tu es en risque là par rapport à ta santé, ton bien-être, alors tu peux casser ton jeûne, tu vas manger et boire, et tu rattraperas le restant de l'année. Et voilà, donc oui, on garde graduel, mais tout en gardant aussi l'obligation de jeûner.
Et il y a une autre question avec s'il y a un vieux ou une vieille qui a une maladie chronique, qui a dû manger durant le mois du Ramadan et elle ne peut pas le rattraper après Ramadan, est-ce qu'elle doit payer le kafara?
Si elle est dans la capacité de compenser, donc de nourrir par jour manqué une personne, ce qui peut être, s'équivaut à une dizaine de dollars selon les endroits. Si elle peut le faire, alors oui, elle fera la compensation. Si elle est même dans l'incapacité c'est difficile pour elle de donner ce prix-là, alors elle n'est redevable de rien. Wallahu a'lam.
Okay. So I'm going to actually give both of you a chance to do closing remarks, inshallah. And I'm going to ask Sheikh Mahdi to end also with dua. But just quickly, I wanted to just encourage all of our participants and everyone who will be listening, inshallah. There are a lot of ways, even though we're at home, and a lot of the questions around, like, what do we do spiritually in Ramadan? How can we really benefit? You know, one of the things is we need to be of benefit to others, obviously, as Muslims. And alhamdulillah, MAC has a lot of really good programming that we have the MAC blood drive. There's the MAC give food drive that people can donate to or help with, like even just drive food to different places. There's a lot of people in our country who are older, who don't have family, who are not able, who might be chronically ill, like the question in French was asking, who are not able to get food and need help with groceries, or we have a lot of refugee families. So there's a lot of things that people can be a part of. Also, if you go on the MAC website, which is macnet.ca, there's the Connect Hub /Connect Hub. This is going to be, there's digital online resources and a lot of all the different kind of events that we're doing. So alhamdulillah, there's a huge program going to be ramped up for Ramadan nationally and also with our different centers and schools and everything. So we do encourage everyone to kind of go to that. I wanted to thank everyone for asking questions. And if somebody still has a question that they haven't gotten answered, they can email us and we can email those to the Sheikh, inshallah, and they can answer them for you. So I'm going to give each of you just 2-3 minutes to give some closing remarks. And then, so I'll ask Sheikh Ahmed to go first, and then Sheikh Mahdi, you can give your closing remarks, inshallah. And then if you can also end with dua, and that would be wonderful. So we'll start with Sheikh Ahmed.
Alhamdulillah, this has been a wonderful experience for all of us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless our efforts. And may Allah forgive us if we have said something right. It is all because of the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If we have said it wrong, it is from shaitan, and may Allah forgive us. Now, having said that, now my appeal to all of the Ummah community of Muslims is, this is the time for us to come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَتُوبُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا أَيُّهَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Or you believe, seek repentance, and turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with humility and reverence for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the world is facing an unprecedented crisis, and Muslims should be coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Ramadan should be used to change our lifestyle and also to purify our inner soul, so that we can reconnect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reconnect with the source of mercy, Quran, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the message for our life, and also intensify and, you know, purify our faith, enhance our faith through those extra devotions, as well as charities, because Ramadan is the month of charity. Fasting should help us to develop that empathy for the suffering, for the poor. And of course, there are millions. The many things we take for granted in Canada, and there are millions in the world, millions of Muslims in the world who cannot have even a morsel of food. So remember them, empathize with them, and come out to help them as best as we can. When you skip that one meal, you know, you are used to taking 3 meals, but in Ramadan you are skipping 1 meal, and take that money out. On top of that extra zakah and charity you give, give it to those who are poor and suffering. By doing so, and also using Ramadan to break the bad habits. Bad habit could be watching a lot of television or being on the internet or Facebook, wasting time, precious time. And this is the time to break free of bad habit and acquire new habits. Practice dhikr. And let dhikr be our second nature, inshallah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم.
Jazakallah khair, Sheikh Ahmed. You know, really quickly, I want to say that this Ramadan, like Sheikh Ahmed was saying, we have to focus on it being a month of truth and guidance. And that is the Quran for us, of course, in our communities. And MAC invites all of us to join in, like we said, in this holistic programming for the entire family. And we're going to actually be having live programs from coast to coast across the country, and also through your local cities. So please be aware of that. And hopefully these are going to inspire you spiritually. They're going to intrigue you intellectually and connect you socially. And beginning from Suhoor, we've created a set of virtual programs for children, for youth, for sisters, and whole family experiences, which also include competitions and community giving initiatives especially for our vulnerable members of our community. So whether it's a virtual iftar with members of your local community, or family story time, or a small online halakha group, our youth, we are also going to have a youth talk show, or appreciating COVID-19 frontline workers. MAC is committed to bringing a Ramadan experience for Canadian Muslims, inshallah. And we're also pleased to offer programming in both English and French, as you saw today, inshallah. And we're also pleased to announce that, inshallah, this Friday, April 24th, is going to be the first day of Ramadan. And Eid al-Fitr will be celebrated on Sunday, May 24th, 2020. And this is following the announcement of the Fiqh Council of North America, which MAC is following. So we're going to have Sheikh Mahdi now please give his closing remarks and then make dua, inshallah, for all of us, or with all of us. Donc tu peux donner tes remarques, Sheikh Mahdi. Merci.
Barakallahu fikum, qu'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala agrée cette rencontre et fasse en sorte qu'on puisse être réunis physiquement dans cette vie et rassemblés dans sa proximité à l'au-delà. Amin. Je seconde vraiment ce qu'a dit le cheikh au niveau de le mois de Ramadan, c'est Shahrul Muassa, on va se réconcilier, on va penser à autrui. Comme le cheikh a dit, si on se prive d'un repas par jour, c'est peut-être pour mettre le prix de la somme de ce repas-là et le redonner, le redistribuer, de casser aussi de mauvaises habitudes pour les transformer en de bonnes. C'est un mois de baraka qu'il faut pleinement vivre. Le prophète alayhi salatu wassalam, dans un hadith annoncé en disant Ya ayyuhan nas, innahu qad adhallakum shahrun azimun mubarak. Ô vous les gens, tous les gens, musulmans ou pas, vous voilà ombragés par un mois qui est grandiose, qui est plein de baraka. Donc le Ramadan est plein de baraka, il est grandiose. Il faut maintenant, avec notre comportement, notre attitude, notre manière d'être, de vraiment pleinement lui donner sa valeur. Et encore une fois, pour nous, notre entourage, mais généralement pour les gens tout autour de nous. Voilà, comme dua, peut-être de se rappeler le dua que disait Sayyidina Yunus, alayhi salam. Le chef aussi mentionnait l'importance du dhikr. C'est un dhikr et en même temps un dua pour qu'Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala nous permette de trouver après la difficulté plein de facilité. Donc, la ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntu min al-zalimin. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين اللهم أبننا من بعد العسر يسرا والله fait en sorte qu'il y a après l'adversité plein de félicité, après la difficulté plein de facilité. Wallah, permets-nous de profiter un maximum de ce mois de Ramadan plein de baraka pour nous-mêmes, notre entourage et puis notre entourage au sens très large, nos frères et sœurs en humanité. Amin ya Rabbal Alameen, wa barakallahu fikum jami'an. Barakallahu fikum, Sheikhna.
Sheikh Ahmed, I've been, learning from you since I was a little kid. So I just want to thank you for everything that you do for our community, and for your scholarship and for your efforts. And I'm sorry I made you stay the whole time.
Yeah, Allah bless all of us.
We can't have you leave. And Sheikh Mahdi, Jazakallah khair pour tous les shows. And we want to thank all our attendees and our participants, especially our French ones who who are coming in from Montreal and Quebec, alhamdulillah, and different parts of Canada. So Jazakallah khair.
Allah bless all of us.
Ameen ya Rab. Hopefully we have a great Ramadan, inshallah.
Amen.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.